Cafe Networking Podcast promotes successful business experts. I'm Tom Rioch, known as the King of Networking, connecting people throughout the world from my podcast studio in Brazil. Joining us today from Boston, Massachusetts is Tarun Aleti. He's co-founder, chief product and technology officer at PartRunner, a marketplace for the last mile and middle mile big and bulky, connecting companies to a network of hundreds of independent truckers through mobile, web, and APIs. So, Tarun, how to build a marketplace? Chicken and egg?
Yeah, Tom, first of all, thanks for the introduction, right? So this is a very commonly asked question about marketplace and how to get started, right? Like everyone, you have the demand, which is like the chicken for me, maybe there's a supply, which is the egg part, right? And you're always struggling between where do I get started? Should I ask few people, who should I get some customers on board and then find people who can, the supply side, or maybe I should get on board on the supply, right? For me, even with PartRunner, as we are building marketplace, that was one of the fundamental challenge we were facing in the beginning, right? So where to get started, right? I feel from my experience and I've been working as an advisor with other companies in this space, right? I always felt it depends for any company, when you get started, there is nothing, right? You don't have the chicken, not the egg, right? At that point of time, it's better for you to just go out there and try to find 1-2 customers or 1-2 people who you think will fit into your demand side and the supply side, right? Just to get started, just to feel the pulse of the market, right? A pulse of people, understand what is their feedback and things like that. But once you have 4-5 people or 2-3 people on board, there is no this has to be first and this has to be second, right? You just need to attack on both the sides in the beginning. And when I'm saying attack, don't go crazy, bringing on 100 of people, right? Just 2 to 5. That is something.
There the question is, I'm not saying it's a secret because there's no secret. It's just to start, right?
You need to start.
Because if you sit down and you're trying to wait for the ideal situation, you never get out of the box.
Yes, exactly. You're never going to get out of the box. And maybe when you talk to the customers, you might realize that, oh, you know what, maybe I need to get the supply side first, right? Maybe when you talk to supply, you feel like they are very ready and they're going to jump on board, but you might need to bring the demand side, right? But I think once you get started, once you feel like there is some positive response to whatever problem you're solving, I think it's very, very important in a marketplace that one part of your challenge needs to be easier to acquire, right? Either it has to be your demand or your supply, right? It has to be easier to acquire, right? Because if you have to literally balance your marketplace, hey, I bring one person, I'm going to bring one person, it's not going to work out, right? That's not marketplace. That's literally 1-to-1 tutoring or mentoring kind of a thing, right?
Right. Well, it's your company now, PartRunner. What I've seen, and I've taken a look at the site and see what you're doing. What struck me, obviously, you hear me talk a lot about the last mile, but you've come out with the middle mile, and you also mentioned big and bulky, because we do have here in Brazil and many other places, you have the parcel delivery, which is not the big and bulky. So you become specialist, or you specialized in the big and bulky?
Exactly. So thing is, like you said, the parcel delivery is pretty commoditized, especially in US, right? And in Mexico too, with Uber Eats, DoorDash, with all the food delivery restaurants, all the last mile, right? If it's a small package, it's very easy to ship it. Where services like PartRunner, the marketplace we are building, is more focused on the big and bulky. This could be your construction related material. It could be the home appliances, right? These are all palletized goods. We don't really move small boxes.
Right.
We could do some projects here and there, but where we bring our efficiency and our differentiator to this market is basically in our ability to move big and bulky. And what we call big and bulky, anything non-standardized, right? Anything palletized, anything which is heavy, you need maybe 1 or 2 people to help you, right?
Right.
So these are all different kind of things that come under big and bulky.
So really what you've done is, once you've gotten through the chicken and egg, you started fine-tuning and adjusting to really what the market is that you hope to serve and can serve.
Exactly. I think once we figured out that there is a demand and there is also supply to this challenge, right?
Right.
I think the first thing we again, that's what I was trying to kind of get, it's important to understand like which is easier to get, and you need to double down on that, because that creates we call it like an arm strength, right?
Yeah.
It creates your strength, it's like a muscle you keep building, right?
Right.
So either there should be one part of it that you're continuously doubling down and you're able to grow much faster, and then you put all your resources into like the other one. Most of the time, it has to be a supply, right? Your supply should be easy to acquire, right? You should be able to as easy as putting a Facebook advertisement, putting some ads out there, right? Should be a very quick onboarding experience for your supply side, and it's generally is your customer side who take longer. They want to really feel the experience, they want to like the experience, and then so on and so on, right? So yeah, I think initially once we found it, we and this is not something easy to do, it takes
Just keep doing
you
it,
need
doing
to,
it well, right?
yeah,
Now I see you've also
yeah,
expanded doing what you're doing. You're now in
yes,
Mexico.
yes, yeah.
So,
So
so your
expansion is
expansion
another
is
big,
in different
yes.
areas, locations, geographical locations, and they become, let's say, company-run installations. You're not a franchise.
We are not a franchise. You could almost think like an Uber that has expanded to different countries, right? So we have started our operations in US, we're in New England. We also are operating in Mexico City and nearby cities. And one of the fundamental challenge of a marketplace is also expansion, right?
Right,
Like, yes, you bring in your demand and supply in one place, but how do you make sure that it happens in a
right.
completely new territory, right? And when you're within a country, generally the market dynamics are supposed to be similar. So you're able to take your learning lessons and copy paste them. But I think when we went cross country, right, when we went to Mexico, it was like restarting that whole process. Like you need to really understand again the new dynamics of the
Right.
new market and supply. Then again, when you're regionally expanding, it's always a bit more easier than going to a different country.
And again, looking at your site, I see that you're saying for contractors, and you're talking supply runs, warehouse to site deliveries. And when you're talking about
Yeah.
construction, here in Brazil and Mexico, that I know, and in most places, a construction site is ongoing for a reasonable length of time. It's
Yeah.
not something I want to buy a television. It's going to come to my house and that's it. Construction site's
Yes.
ongoing, and it may last a year, it may last 2 years, it may be 6 months. So once you create that relationship, then you actually become the element of supply for whatever is needed at that construction site.
Yes, exactly. I think on the demand side, that's what we kind of cracked. We work
Mm-hmm.
mainly with enterprise partners and and partners with more delivery needs, right?
Mm-hmm.
We are in a B2B space. We are not in a B2C, right? Like you
Okay,
said,
right.
if it's a construction site, I wouldn't be like requiring something to be shipped. I don't care. Even if
Mm-hmm.
I'm buying that house, I work with my general contractor or um,
Right.
my subcontractor, right, who would be responsible for it, right? So we try to work with more enterprise partners, partners with more delivery needs. We do see where we'll be working with small businesses down the line, right? As we expand more, throughout the
Right.
footprint, it becomes easier to provide the similar experience to small business, even with lower delivery needs. But right now, we primarily work with enterprise
Very
customers.
good. Well, Tarun, thank you for being here. How can our listeners find you?
So they can reach out to me in LinkedIn. I'm pretty active there.
Right.
There's also, you can always go to PartRunner.com.
Mm-hmm.
You have all the information there. And yeah, I think I'm always, like I said, in the beginning, I'm really looking for to share my experience with
Mm-hmm.
early stage startups, founders, for building marketplaces. There are a ton of mistakes I feel like everyone does,
Right.
which is not required. Personally, I have done. I feel like I should also not have done, but
Well,
I feel like
that's
I'm in
how
a
we all
position to
learn.
just,
It's learned by
yeah,
doing. I said there's no secrets, just to get up and do it.
yep, that's right.
Very good. Well, thanks again for being here.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. And I think you have an amazing podcast, and all the best for your future. Yeah.
Thank you. And for our listeners, it's Tarun Aleti. The first name is Tarun, the last name Aleti. Find him on LinkedIn and the site, which is partrunner.com. PartRunner, PartRunner.com. focusmi.com. Cafe Networking is brought to us by Focus MI Market Intelligence, an agricultural market research specialist in Brazil. More information at focusmi.com. Talk to Tom, talk to the world. Thanks for listening. Until the next time here at Cafe and Networking Podcast.